Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen Sewer Commissioners meeting of November the 18th, 2014. First thing I need is a motion.
Motion to appoint Mr. Titlebaum clerk.
Second, out of necessity. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, tonight we have Chairman Pro Tem Tropiano, Selectman Whiteside, Selectman Titlebaum, Town Administrator Sullivan, and Town Council Bowen.
All right, next would be announcements.
I do have some in the packet here. First off, this will probably be a weekly one until the event itself. The Wareham Village Association 'Tis the Season Christmas Parade is Saturday, December 6th at 2 o'clock, and it starts at Bessie Park, and it goes all the way down to the town green. There was a really nice turnout last year. I hope there's even more people this year. Next up, Onset Bay Association Coat, Jacket, and Blanket Drive. During the winter months, there is a need for blankets, jackets, and coats for Wareham individuals. We are asking that you bring your new or slightly used coats, jackets, and blankets to drop-off locations in Onset. They will be distributed to either Turning Point or Wareham schools to be passed on to whoever is in need. And the drop-off locations are the Tara Dean Studio at Union Ave in Onset or the Firehouse Cafe on Onset Ave. Okay, cribbage game. Oh, this is interesting. Pier View Restaurant, Onset, every Thursday evening, 6:30 p.m. until 8:30 p.m., $10 per player. Used for first and second place winners, so it's a stakes game. Interesting. All are welcome. Play will consist of two-person teams. So gather your team or come and find new friends. And this is, again, the Pier View every Thursday at 6:30 to 8:30. Try out your cribbage skills. And finally, this is a thank you from the Wareham Bike Path Committee, Chairman Michael Langford. He writes, "Great job, everyone. As Damon pointed out, every time a tangible part of the community pathway is put in place, more and more excitement grows around the project. We can now point with pride to the racks and the striping of Onset Ave as proof that a pathway is in the works. Now on to fulfilling Mass DOT and SERPID's requests for the next steps, public information meeting and preparation of the project initiation form for the next phase of the project along the Narrows and Minot Avenue." And again, this relates to the bike racks and the striping of Onset Avenue to separate out a bike path. And that's all I have.
I think Mr. White had one too. Do you? Could you repeat that, please, Mr.
Yeah, coffee hour on Thursday. First Sergeant Barry Claver will be the guest at the coffee hour over in the library at 9 o'clock.
Agawam.
Agawam, that's right, you've moved. Agawam. Anything you'd like to add to that, Bob? That's it.
All right, Ms. Whiteside.
Yes, I have quite a few. Thank you. Want to congratulate the Wareham Wild Vikings who won a gold medal at the 2014 Special Olympics Massachusetts Flag Football State Championships on Sunday. The team consists of Kayla, Andrew, Robert, Malcolm, Jordan, Kaylin, Tim, Liam, Jake, and Kyle. And they had to beat three other teams to get there, so congratulations to them. The Wareham Special Olympics basketball program was started 10 years ago, and I'm sure at some point we can all figure out how we can volunteer our time. This next one has been in the press and has been forecast. The Free Library has lost its certification. There are several impacts that will become more obvious. Basically what it means is that the library, with some exceptions, cannot borrow books from other libraries within our system. That's one of the effects of poor funding. In the Globe today, there's an article about the American dream starts in your county, okay? And I'm going to actually say it starts in your town. Since 2011, a bipartisan nonprofit called Opportunity Nation has been looking at what makes the American dream come true. It differs from place to place. Massachusetts is ranking third in the nation as the best place, behind Vermont and Nebraska. The worst is Nevada. You can take whatever lesson from that you want. The 16 matrices that the index relies on fall into three broad categories: the economy, education, and community and civic life. These measures include items such as the prevalence of violent crime, the rate of high school graduation, how many students go to college and stay there, the percentage of the population with access to the internet, the number of readily available grocery stores and health care centers, the availability of affordable housing. Those obviously are not all under our direct management, but they certainly can be there. Let the record show, please, that Mr. Holmes is here at 7:07. So Plymouth County gets a B-, and Dukes County, which is the islands, gets an A. From that list, you can tell where we are falling short and where we can improve. Town managers can make a big impact, and boards of selectmen and other elected officials and appointed officials can make a big impact on the quality of life in the American dream. I had a wonderful next item, very nice conversation via email with somebody who wanted me to read into the record some of the better trash fines in the states, in the United States. I like California's. For your first conviction of throwing trash out of your car or walking along and dropping a bag, between $100 and $1,000, and at least 8 hours of litter cleanup. Second conviction, a fine between $500 and $1,000, and at least 16 hours of litter cleanup. Subsequent convictions, a fine between $750 and $1,000, and at least 24 hours of litter cleanup. Imagine if we did that here. The law in Massachusetts can actually provide for the suspension of a violator's driver's license in certain cases. Massachusetts is actually one of the more stringent laws. First conviction, fine up to $5,500. Subsequent convictions, fine up to $15,000. Court may also require that the violator remove the litter at his own expense. 50% of any fine imposed is deposited in the Conservation Trust. Littering at a public transportation facility after a warning, fine of up to $25, blah, blah, blah. And allows the registrar of motor vehicles to suspend up to 7 days the driver's license, or to permit any person who litters or who knowingly permits the occupants of his vehicle to litter. So if you're the driver, you are responsible for the junk that people throw out. And there is a whole lot of junk being thrown out. And the last one, because Patrick's giving me the eye, is that the real estate housing market, which tanked in 2009, is coming back. Single-family home sales have declined from 2013 in 7 of the past 8 months, according to this report. And real estate industry officials say a key factor in the low inventories of homes for sales is the notoriously slow rate of new housing construction in Massachusetts, often blamed on overly restrictive local zoning laws, blah, blah, blah. The bank borrowing rates are really low. They're appropriately priced for first homeowners. Housing starts are down, but foreclosures are starting to rise, and that's a bad sign. People are simply walking away from their homes. That's it. Oh, no, it isn't. I hope you all like the new decor of the room. These old photographs were donated to the town a couple of years ago, and Mr. Slavin, Mr. Tidebaum, and I dug them out of the library and had them hung on the walls.
Mr. Holmes, announcements?
Good evening. I really didn't have any announcements, Patrick, but you know what? I'll take 30 seconds.
Okay. You get 30
Not
seconds.
political. I want to say that right up front. Not political at all. I just picked this up in the airport this week. It's a new book by George W. Bush, and it's called 41. It's a portrait of his father. His father obviously was our 41st president of the United States, but George Herbert Walker Bush has quite a life story to tell. From a family man to a military man to a man of service to our country. And the book is not about politics. It's about being his father. He talks about the Bush family, growing up with George, 41, as his father. And it's a real interesting perspective because it's being written by a president and a son. So I would recommend that any parents out there, this is a great Christmas buy for a child who can read, and especially fathers, buy these for your sons. And sons, if you don't see your father too often, or whatever the reason is he's not around, buy him one of these and plead with him to read it for Christmas. And maybe it will help heal some families and make some families stronger. But it has nothing to do with politics. 15 seconds. There's a story in here. Everybody remembers when President Reagan got shot. Remember that? And 41 was his vice president. And we've all served on committees, and we've all served in organizations where the vice person or persons, right, can't wait to take over the top job, right? And they would jump in that seat at any opportunity. The next morning, when 41 assembled the cabinet for the regular cabinet meeting, he sat in his own chair. He refused to sit in President Reagan's chair. So for those of you who are getting that message, that's the type of book it is. It talks about, well, kind of the same stuff Judy was just talking about. So it lent itself well to an attitude of service, an attitude of humility. It's just an outstanding book. So that's my 30 seconds.
Well, I don't know what that means, that now that I'm sitting in the chair seat tonight.
No, no. Well, you're sitting there because you, oh, did you move?
Hello?
That's the seat you always sit in. That's the point of the story. See, Alan sits over here. You didn't jump in his chair, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So my announcement tonight is I really need to thank, I had a great time and really enjoyed the Veterans Day Parade this year. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of great speakers. There was some terrific things that happened in that parade, and I think we all need to give a hand to Mr. White and his committee and everybody else who was involved in that, and just let them know how much we appreciate what they do and how they pull that stuff together. And I mean, it was flawless. It went down fantastic. And the neat thing is of course, it was what's his name? Geez, I'm lost for whatever. But he was Stevie. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to. Stevie apparently was given a diploma. Can you imagine
An actual
that?
diploma.
They actually gave him a diploma, which I think was so awesome of the school department to pull that together and surprise him with that. It was like the highlight of the day as far as he was concerned. But it was really about the veterans, and they made that clear over and over and over again how important it is to appreciate the veterans. And me, who never got to serve, appreciate them more, I think, than I should appreciate them more than the people who actually served, because, I mean, what people have done and what people have gone through, I'll never know. Really never know about it. And I really appreciate them, and let's give them all a round of applause for such a terrific day. They had a great meal afterwards, like they always do. It was really great. Anyway, so thank you. Yeah, you got to be careful, right? All right, next, citizens' participation. Is anybody here to speak to us this evening? All right, come on up. Right up to these two chairs. There's a couple of mics right there. You can sit right down. Pull them close, though, okay?
Good evening, and thank you for the kudos. We are 3 of the members of the Veterans Celebration and Parade Committee.
Terrific.
Julio, this is Julio, and my name is Paul Gagel. Your name, Julio?
Julio Roderick.
And Eileen Claver.
Awesome.
Okay, and thank you again for the kudos. I hope you all were there. Were you all there? Judy? Thank you. Thank you for celebrating with us. Just an update. Our co-chairman was supposed to be here tonight, Sharon Boyer, but she's not here, so she had a lot of information to put forth. Next year's celebration hopes to be even better. We're really proud of how it came out. As a matter of fact, we're surprised. There was a well, really, because you never know how these things are going to turn out. How these things are going to turn out because of the other towns' participation, which is very limited. But we had a meeting 2 days right after the celebration, and to look at some of the things we thought might work a little better next year. And next year, also I'd like to thank Ms. Shaver Hood, our superintendent, Principal Scott Palladino, and I think the
Cliff Sylvia.
yeah, the middle school president, Dan Minkle, I think his name is.
Minkle, yep.
Yeah, and the flags you saw on Viking Drive, 1,800 of them. There was an article in the Wareham Weekly, a nice article, about how they only took 2 days to raise $550 to get those flags up. And those flags represent every veteran that is active or inactive in Wareham, 1,800. I think that's amazing thing to be proud of in this town. We have 1,800 veterans. Every one of those flags represent one of those veterans, and it made everybody feel good. And if Sharon was here, she'd tell you she's working on some flags for downtown next year. I think that's in connection with the gentleman who operates or who procured the flags for the Bourne cemetery down the National Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's stepping up, and he's going to provide some flags, hopefully, for the center of our town. And hopefully we can work on a couple of banners, too, to help out on each end of the town, you know, showing everybody in the town that there is a celebration coming up and a parade. But anyway, I'd like to turn the mic over to Eileen here, and she's going to tell you a little bit about some of the things that went on.
Well, it's certainly appreciated to hear what you have to say. We want to thank you all and everyone who came out, both to volunteer and to hold up signs and support us. It was heartwarming to see everyone. It's just, we have to honor our veterans, and that was a wonderful way to show them that we care and that we do. Hopefully next year, bigger and better. We have a lot of things, a lot of ideas that we're working on. I don't want to spoil any surprises, so I'll keep some of them to myself. But and hopefully next year the weather will be just as good as it was this year, because that was a plus.
Yeah.
And Julio represented the onset VFW, right, Julio?
Yes.
And they certainly helped in the participation of the celebration. And a lot of people stepped up. You saw a few more trucks and some veterans and reservists that stepped up to be in the parade. And like Mr. Selectman Tropiano pointed out, the celebration on that grandstand was exceptional.
Awesome.
The speaker that came all the way out from California to be
Yeah,
here.
he was great, yeah.
Yeah, he did a nice job. And of course, our math teacher, Mr. Barnett.
Yep.
He's a wonderful speaker, and it was just a wonderful celebration. We're all proud to be a part of it, and
Absolutely.
thank you for helping us out, and we hope we get a lot of support again next year, because I think it's going to be better,
Thank
a
you.
better parade and better celebration.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Yeah.
for
And
doing
also
what you do.
The guy behind the camera there, Bob White, who is the chairman.
Well, you know, we know.
Yeah, but I just like to say he's a tireless worker. Him and it was an honor to serve with Bob and Sharon Boyer deserves
Sharon
a
was
lot of
all
credit.
over the place
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you all for
Yes, thank
letting
you.
us
yeah. Thank you so much.
give you a little
Thank you.
update on what happened, and
All right, thank you.
glad you
Thank you.
enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye. Anybody else to speak to the board this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on. Appointments, please, Mr. Titlebaum.
Yes, we have one appointment. This is an interview appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have an application from Wilma Engelman, 5 Winter Street, West Wareham.
Come on down,
Why don't you
Wilma.
come on up?
Come on down.
Just by way of background, Wilma has served as an associate member to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The typical practice for that board is to have people serve sort of an internship as an associate, and then when a full position becomes available, then they move up to full membership, voting membership on the board.
Hi, Wilma.
It's
Hello.
a technical board, so the thought is that you want to promote from within because people need to gain the experience by sitting there and observing for a while.
Yes, I've been a associate member for 8 years.
So it's about time, huh?
Well, really,
You think you're
I-
ready to move up yet?
and I really didn't expect to, because our board was really a really good board to work with. I learned an awful lot, and I'm hoping that we can get 2 associate members to join, and, no, 2. And
There's 3 here.
so on our board, that we'd like anybody that's interested, they can come to a couple of our meetings and see what goes on, and that's the way I did. I went to meetings before and found that I'd like to get involved, and as I said, 8 years.
Thank you very
Awesome,
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying the course.
Any questions of the board?
None.
None, seeing none. Could I have a motion, please, then?
She's my favorite associate member. And
Well,
she'll
I
be
think
my
she's the last
favorite-
one standing, Steve, so you're on safe ground there.
Could I have a motion, please?
Yes, I move that the Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen appoint Wilma Engelman of 5 Winter Street, West Wareham, Massachusetts, to a full member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2019, and this is the remainder of the term for Michael Martin, who I believe is in the process of, a slow process of retirement, and has decided to cut back on his responsibilities, so we wish Mr. Martin well also.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, second by Mr. Holmes. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. All right, thank you.
Okay, just
Thank you, Wilma.
You probably remember the drill. You've got to pick up the signed appointment sheet at the selectman's office tomorrow, and then take it down to the clerk's office and get sworn in.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, license and permits.
Okay, first off, we have a change of hours request from the Jug Shop. Actually, it's the Gingers Co. Limited, doing business as the Jug Shop. Is there anybody here from there?
Nope. Seeing none.
Okay, this is just a change of hours. They're looking to change their hours from, I'll read them into the record. The current hours are January to April 30th, Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. till 9 p.m., Sunday, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Then May to December 1st, their hours are Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 8 a.m. till 10 p.m., Sunday, 12 to 6 p.m. What they would like to do is have the new hours be from May to December 31st, Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Just so people understand, we're getting a lot of these since I believe the legislature authorized the ABCC to let package stores open at 10 a.m. on Sunday. Previously, it was noontime, so that's why you're seeing a lot of these coming in.
Is
So
that a motion, Mr. Titlebaum?
I move that the Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen approve the application of the Gingis Co. Limited, DBA The Jug Shop, 219 Main Street, for a change of hours, May to December 1st, Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, second by Ms. Whiteside. Is there any discussion?
Is that the only change to their license? Is
Yes.
the Sunday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's doing this because of the Sunday hours.
So we're collecting 231.75 a pop.
It's You never saw a fee you didn't like.
You
huh?
make it sound like a bad thing.
Any other
Is that-
discussion?
Is it truly necessary to do that?
Yeah, you have to amend your
Yeah.
license, yeah.
It is? You have
Yes.
to charge people that kind of money?
Yep.
Yes.
It's an actual amendment of the license.
You amended your
And
license.
once one came before us, they all decided to come before us because
Exactly.
nobody wants to lose the business to the one place that is open, so.
Just check.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous, 400.
Okay, I'll send this one around for signatures. Next up, we have a change of hours for Mayflower Liquors. This is Sri Om LLC, doing business as Mayflower Liquors. Their actual hours presently, year-round, are Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., Sunday noon till 10 p.m. They wish to change the Sunday portion of the hours from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay. Any, motion?
Second.
Yep.
Motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, second by Mr. Holmes. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous.
Okay,
400.
get this one signed and get this one going around.
Sign it in the right place. You signed it wrong. No, no, on this one.
You sign under here.
No,
Oh.
here.
That's right, it's the form.
Yeah, and then-
Okay, next one, similar change of hours. This is for Brown's Package Store, Inc. And they are seeking to change their hours from Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday, 12 to 8 p.m. The new hours for Sunday would be 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay.
So this motion,
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, seconded by Ms. Whiteside. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous, 400, please.
Certificate, yeah.
I do that all the time.
And that's it for the 3 change of hours applications.
Okay.
Next up is sewer business.
Next up, sewer business, please. Mr. Hi, Guy.
Good evening.
Welcome. Okay, discussion of Parkwood Drive sewer connection. First on the list.
Yes.
You ready for that?
Yes, I am. Good evening. I believe it was Lot 38, 380 and 381 was a vacant lot back in 2009. It was not provided a lateral. It's to my understanding, this goes back quite a bit of years. I've got some documentation for you. Mr. Murphy, I believe his name was, called me and asked me why there was not a lateral provided. He requested one, and he didn't get one. And here's a letter stating that in 2011.
So this is a lateral, not a stub.
No, there's none. We don't have any.
Okay.
So the lot has been sold, the builder's building, he has no way to connect to the sewer. So what we'd like to do is connect to the lateral next door, opposed to digging into the street and creating a Charleston.
That's it, that's all signed, only 3.
So
All right.
there's a couple of parts of this, but the first part would be to request permission to connect the property to the lateral next door by installing if you will, a manhole, so there'd be a good transition for both to transition to the sewer without creating a problem for either one. So we're asking that permission so we could tie in, opposed to going to the road. So that's the first part of it. And the second part is the betterment or sewer development fee. He was never given the opportunity to tie in at the time. It was a $15,000 betterment. So the question becomes, is what do we charge for a betterment or sewer development fee? And do we pay to connect it, or does the owner presently pay to connect it? We deduct that from the cost. So those are the kind of things that we need to discuss and figure out how we're going to approach this in the best way to solve it.
Did we not talk about this a little bit and didn't we have a policy relevant to if they didn't tie in for a length of time, they had to pay as a sewer development fee the connection charge, which obviously he couldn't do.
He couldn't have tied in, and he wasn't given the opportunity because he was not given a lateral. Back in the 2009 era, when we did contract 1 and contract 2, there was a lot of problem with vacant lots. If you remember, in the past few years, we've been dealing with vacant lots that either didn't get a lateral or got a lateral that wasn't buildable. And the letter I gave you states that the building department deems it to be buildable by small lot exemption. So I can only assume, because back then there was no process to establish the buildability of a lot. In other words, the sewer department would get in touch with the building department, who would verify that these lots are buildable, because if a lot's not buildable, we do not provide laterals, stubs. Right. So this lot never got that exercise. So it was just simply said, we didn't give it a lateral.
Mr. Titleman.
I have a question here. I'm looking at the letter from Commissioner Moore that's dated March 11th, 2013. He talks about how it does meet the exception for the small lot exemption. But it says this letter also confirms the previous letter dated August 25th, 2011 from our office.
Yes, which is the same letter, that it meets the small lot exemption.
That project, I want to say, I didn't hook up, I don't believe, until 2012 to the sewer. So my question is, how are they going to show that they attempted at that time to hook up and were denied? And in other words, in order to get around our policy that they have to pay the cost of the most recent betterment, which in this instance is $18,000, as opposed to the $15,010 that was set for so-called Contract 1, Parkwood and Oak Street, it would seem to me that they would have to, once they get the approval at the $18,000, they would then need to apply for an abatement down to $15,010 on that basis.
I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that that project was completed in 2011. So if you tied in 2012, that's certainly your right to wait a year to tie in, because you have that option. But in 2011, that project was made available, and some people took advantage of it. And I don't know a particular situation why this gentleman moved forward at that time, but at that time, he wanted to know why he didn't get a lateral, so he could probably sell the lot to be buildable, and one was not provided. And so my recommendation to him was to go down to the building department and verify that it's buildable, because if it wasn't buildable, then let's not waste our time.
So you're saying that at that time, 3 years ago, he went down to your office and you said, well, you should go ahead and
do something, because there's no lateral there. And if you go down, first of all, I have to know, or the sewer commissioner, or anybody has to know, is that lot buildable?
Was this within the project acceptance and closure date?
In 2011, yes, it was. The original letter in 2011, yes. So under that circumstances, we're thinking that the $15,000 would apply, only because he started the process and wasn't given the lateral. So my contention, what I'm trying to say, is that in 2009, when we did our homework, maybe there should have been a policy in place that we make that exercise: is it buildable, not buildable, and we make the decision to lateral, not lateral, better, not better.
Well,
that wasn't done.
This has popped up all over the place with both contracts 1 and 2.
Yes, absolutely.
People who should have gotten laterals didn't, and people who got laterals who shouldn't have. So that's, going forward, whoever does any sewer projects in this town, I hope they do a heck of a lot better job of scoping out the landscape before they sign off on the project with the project managers. But anyway, that's,
To your point, I think we should require surveys. It's just they do these GIS maps and they're done. But surveys should be what's done to actuality, what we really have, opposed to, some assessor's map or what have you.
Well, we've never had a project manager on the jobs, and we should.
I agree.
And that's just a no-no.
I agree. I absolutely agree, because it protects everybody.
Exactly.
The town, the residents, everybody's protected by having a project manager to make sure these things.
Yeah, and he's
don't
responsible
fall through
to us, not to them, not to
Yes.
the engineers, but responsible to the town.
Yeah.
And that's a different responsibility. It's a different fiduciary responsibility, which we didn't have on the ground.
And you make them carry a couple $1 million in liability insurance, so when they screw up, you can just say, hello, insurance company, send us another check for 18 grand. I mean, that's how you take care of these things. But, you know, nonetheless,
I certainly agree. And I think going forward, as we do them, you're absolutely right. This should be established right out of the gate. I agree. So that's the first, about connecting and how we're going to charge them. So, you know, that my thoughts were the 15. The second question I had to that was, who pays now to actually do the work? He pays to do the work to connect. Is it on him, or do we deduct from the 15? Because we would have paid that in the beginning. We would have put that there for him. He would have paid. So my suggestion is that he pay his part, we pay our part, whatever that should be. And I don't know
I think, and let me just kind of jump in here a little bit. I think we're responsible for the catch basin.
for the manhole.
To the manhole.
Yes,
I think from the manhole out
Yes,
would
yes.
be like a connection charge.
okay.
And that's his responsibility.
I think that's
But
fair.
I think we should put the manhole there.
I think that's fair.
what would the cost of installing a manhole be?
Not a whole lot of money. We did one, we actually did a couple in Oakdale for folks that didn't get laterals. We put a manhole in the middle of the property so they could both use it, and it wasn't that, I think $1,000 or something like that. So
Right.
I think it's something that we should do.
Yeah.
I agree with
think-
you. Good
And then
point.
it's like a stub connection for him from there.
I believe so, yes.
And you know, to be honest with you, I think
no need
in
for
this
reasons to
particular
follow
instance, the $15,000 is more appropriate than the $18,000,
Okay.
in my opinion. I don't know, you guys can say it. Judy, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Not on this issue, but there is an issue, you have another question that I think I can answer on the street.
Right, the street, yeah. And actually, Attorney Bowen was just kind of looking for
There's-
an answer to that, too.
There's an easement. That's a weird, Parkwood's weird because they own a lot of that property, the side of the road. And I try to look up in our sewer department and our maps, and it doesn't delineate what's what. There's an easement, and I think the property owner could speak to that. He tells me that he has it in his deed, the easement going along, everybody has that easement going along the side of the road. So I think that's something that has to be put on record. Before anything's done, that easement has to be brought forward, and if it's an easement granted by Parkwood or whatever, then that has to be addressed legally to make sure that there's no problems going down the road.
You just
Well,
need
I
the
think-
acceptance.
I
Like, 'cause
think
I don't
we
have the
could
answer
make
to
it
exactly what it
contingent
is.
on him having the proper easements.
The question of easements in Parkwood goes back to 1948, when most of Parkwood was laid out and most of the streets were, in fact, town accepted. The easement question came up because originally it was designed to have sidewalks, and there aren't any, or there are few. So the easements, that was their original intention. I can show Attorney Bowen tomorrow, you're coming tomorrow, right? What we have found what has been found so far in terms of the information on Parkwood. And I probably can dig out of the clerk's records the map for that layout in 1948 for you.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So does you need a motion, right?
I
No,
will in a
think you
minute.
do.
Mr. Holmes,
Yeah,
anything?
on which
No,
amount?
we don't. It's a discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, one,
It's just-
seems that unless I missed something here, we do have
Sorry.
a different meeting. One, I believe you do have policies that support these types of issues. So one, I think you should enforce whatever those policies are. And then, if there's an issue or a gripe or an issue with the owner, then you should bring that back to this board and not us sit here saying, oh, I guess we could do this and I guess we could do that. If there's a policy, you need to enforce it. That's what you do. And then and that's what we do. And then if there's an issue, I don't agree with Patrick a lot, but he said the other day that we make things, we even the playing field. But we're sitting here, even in a playing field, we don't even know what that is. The fourth question I have for you, though, goes to this letter. Because it appears to me that in this letter, if I read it, as I read this, it says that the requirements for a small lot exemption may have been met. However, it goes on to say that due to the proximity to wetlands, there may be some issues with the Conservation Commission. So my question to you is, and the person has 30 days to appeal the notice. So my question to you is, before we even go through all these hoops, is this, in the end, going to even be a buildable lot, given the water issues, given the zoning issues?
Building's there.
Have all those questions been answered?
Absolutely, they're in the middle of building. They
Then
come
why
to
is
the
it,
point-
why is, this is dated March 11th, so.
Yes, this was just to support, so the board would be aware that it was addressed as being a buildable lot in
So
the
all the
timeframe.
water conservation, the conservation issues have all been addressed?
Yes, yes.
That would have been handled through inspectional services on the
Yes.
Yeah,
original
I'm just reading this
application.
letter.
No,
Right,
Yeah.
but that would have been handled by Mr. Moore
I
at the
don't
time, or
see-
whoever
yeah.
the
Yeah.
director was.
I don't see any of
Mr.
that
Ifradi.
supporting documents, I have to ask based on this letter.
No, I
And it
apologize,
says
this letter
there's
was,
an issue. Because
I
there's no
apologize.
need to go down the road if we don't have to.
no, the
right?
letter was simply to show the timeline.
Right.
Because 2011 was a timeline, and so to show that there's, and to answer your question, yes, there are policies in place, but the policy states that if we're going to use a lateral and not go to the street, then it takes sewer commissioners' determination to do that. I can't just say, go ahead. There's
Right.
policies that must come in front of the board. Only the board can authorize tying to another lateral, and that's what the board has done, I'm asking tonight. So we can put it's a manhole and tie two properties to one. So that's that's what that's for. I
So
don't
as
have
Mr.
that.
Titlebaum clearly states, and I do recall sitting here over the last 5 years, we've had situations where people didn't get it, they did get it, they were charged for it, they weren't charged for it. What have we had an issue like this in the past?
Not exactly. Every issue, Mr. Holmes, every issue has been unique to itself. And to make a blanket policy, and we have policies that can address some things, but not all. In this particular one, the idea of tying to the lateral and not the street itself, because normally we just say, go ahead and dig up the street, dig down 8 feet, tear the street up. And we're saying, to eliminate that, we're going to go to the lateral next door, which makes more sense. So that takes sewer commissioner's authorization to do. And so we're seeking that. And that would be any individual case. And every time that we decide to go to a lateral that's existing, we have to, every single time, we have to get permission by our bylaw. That permission is granted by this board.
Okay.
So we can't make a policy that circumvents that bylaw.
Right.
So that's why we
Okay,
have to come
good.
to the board to get that.
Well, those are the kind of questions I have because I don't see it.
And I apologize, I just gave this for a timeline, I could have done better, but.
So in the past, when these situations arise, the owner ties in to the lateral next door. Is that what we've
We've done in
done?
the past, we've done it in.
And what did we charge? And what did we charge those people when they did
Those
that?
folks already had paid a betterment and didn't get a lateral, so they already paid the $15,000, and so we just
Okay.
tied them to the lateral next door.
But in
and
this
we
case,
absorbed
the
the cost.
15 wasn't paid yet.
Correct, they didn't even give them the opportunity to put it, so.
So to make it fair, it sounds like to me, to make it fair, the person pays the 15,
Right.
Yes, I
right?
agree,
As
yes,
at least one piece of it, like everybody else.
yes.
So
Right.
then it's fair.
And then it's fair, then he pays the connect, we put the manhole up, and I think it becomes fair again for everybody.
And we pay for the crossover to the neighbor to
Yes,
make it available?
we make it available. When the neighbor comes in, we put a manhole there, so the neighbor continues to the sewer that's already existing, and then the lot next door has the ability to tie to that manhole.
And where that money originally came from the project, where would that money come from now?
It'll come from our budget, but the $15,000 for the betterment will go into our budget, and we'll draw $1,000 out of our budget. So I'll take it out of my existing budget, is where I'll take it. Probably from unforeseen.
Somebody asked you, and I forget, I didn't get a chance to write it. What was the cost of that tie-in for us? To draw over to the
Approximately
neighbor?
$1,000.
How much?
Approximately $1,000.
Well,
That come out of our budget, come out of the Water Pollution Control's budget, yes.
thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, just to clarify, it would just, the cash would go in, but it would flow to retained earnings. They couldn't expend that. That would just be a simple revenue. That wouldn't be funds,
I'll
no.
Show them free cash later.
We already
For
spent
them.
it, no, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
On the.
Somehow I
mayor side,
believe
not
him.
on our-
I
Notice
I
he's shocked,
believe
didn't
that.
we?
Yeah, he's always
I think
ahead.
we need-
I'll give
we
him
need a
that.
motion on the,
We need a motion.
motion on the, yeah.
Peter, can you make me a motion, please?
Yeah, I move to approve to authorize the tie-in to the lateral for what is the direct address here?
17 Park.
Oh, okay, I'll do it from map.
Yeah, please.
Map 38, lots 380, 381 Parkwood Drive, and further to set the betterment cap for such tie-in to the lateral at $15,010 as per the original charges under so-called Contract 1.
Second.
And can you also add that they'll be tying to the manhole
Right.
at his
Yes,
expense?
At his
Yes.
expense.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, so I have a motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, seconded by Ms. Whiteside. Is there any discussion? That is the second half.
That's,
We just talked about putting the manhole in. That's part of it. That's in the motion. Okay, so we're all set. Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, it was in Peter's motion. His motion included tying into the neighbor's
Tying to the lateral.
lateral. Tying
Yes.
into the lateral. Are you all set? It's in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's in there. Are you all set? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? It's unanimous, 4-0-0. Okay.
Well, I have a question now. What about the question of who owns the road?
Well, that's gonna have to be determined. I mean, you obviously, Guy, they obviously can't put this on something that they don't have control over, obviously.
it has to be an easement for our property.
Exactly.
If it shows an easement, and we can verify that with the 1948 map, if it shows an easement that runs along the property. Maybe that's a sidewalk that you're talking about.
Yep.
So we'll just come out and go right to here.
Well, there's always a presumption that people who come before us have the actual authority to install what they're asking to install. And to the extent that there's any third-party rights, such as an easement or some retained rights in the Parkwood Beach Association, that's up to them to work out.
Right.
You administratively can ask for proof of that, but
Correct.
that doesn't have to be at our say-so. That's just common law theory. That doesn't have to be
Right, that's
any part of our decision.
totally, I mean, they have to be able to do
That's a,
what,
that's a you problem, sir.
well, they have
That's
to
not
be
an us
able to,
problem.
they have to be able to do what they need to do, and they have to have the proper authority to do that.
Okay.
I mean, we're not attorneys and we can't, get into that whole thing.
And to protect the town, we sit as, one, the town, and two, we sit as the Board of Sewer Commissioners. And we just gave him authorization to go ahead and do that. And now the question Mrs. Whiteside is raising is, what if there is an issue there?
If there's
So
an
he
issue, they won't be able to
he
tie.
shouldn't
He'll-
touch that until there is written,
He has a plot
supported
plan, sir.
material that tells Mr. Campino it's okay to go ahead and do it. He shouldn't do it unless he has that.
Right, the plot plan shows it.
The plot
So
plan
I'll
shows
verify
it,
this
so-
before I put the manhole. So I'll
Exactly.
verify the plot plan to make sure that we're in the easement and not violating anybody's
Yeah, because you have
rights.
some
Absolutely.
association come back
Mr.
after the town. We don't need
Well,
that.
let's have town council clear this up.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and to the director. My recommendation would be that as the property owner and anybody who wants to connect comes forward, that they come forward with proof that they have the authority to cross private lands, and if it requires us to do work on private property, be it a private road, a lot, whatever, that they come in with the necessary sign-offs from all the title, the people of record who have the title, giving us permission to do work on private property, i.e. an easement. So I think that's the sort of thing that would have to be on the applicant to bring forward to us, and then we take a look at it, and if it passes muster, then let the work begin.
In this instance, though, I believe that the easement issue relates to the tie-in. In other words, I don't think tying into the lateral from the manhole, I don't think that's the issue here. The issue is his work would be possibly in that easement area, not our work. Is that correct?
Correct.
So this is, at that point, this is a third-party issue, and we don't have any skin in the game.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I guess without having a map in front of me, I don't want to assume too much, because I don't know this particular piece of property the way you do. But, oh, thank you. But, yeah, bedtime reading. I'll just leave it at this. As long as we're not turning over as much as a shovel to do any work unless we're absolutely clear that we have the right to do that on that piece of property.
Absolutely.
Right,
Thank you.
and
I'll do that.
look, if we put in the manhole, And that's all on us, so we can do that. We have that ability, and we have the right to do that right now. Whether he has the right to connect afterwards, a whole nother ballgame. If he comes down, you know, like Peter says, it's a third-party issue, whether he has that right or not. Of course, you're gonna have to make sure that that's clear, though, that he does
I
have
would
that
hope
right.
that the applicant would make sure of that, because we're certainly gonna charge him for the betterment.
Yeah, because he's gonna get charged for the
So he's
betterment.
not gonna wanna pay for a betterment that he can't use.
Exactly, that's
He's
the
assured
point.
us that that's the case, so we'll just have him verify it.
But,
And then
Mr.
we'll
Chairman,
have
I
the
think the point
verification.
town council is making, and I'm trying to make, and I think Mrs. Whiteside was trying to make, is that we should see that documentation before we approve a project. It's on.
Kiss it.
What?
Kiss it because they can't hear you.
Oh. Now I lost my train of, no, all I'm saying is, we've just approved something, and all I'm saying is in the future, if we have to look at a form or adjust the application to say that all these things have been done, so that as we approve it, because in today's world of litigation, we approve something, he goes and does it, says that, well, the town told me to go ahead and do it, and didn't really have the authorization. We are on the hook. We're always on the hook. So to help ourselves in future applications, we should look to change that form and have those things checked off, so that when we sit here and approve it, this has been done, easement's been cleared, and there is no third party, everybody's in the boat together, right?
And we'll
You
do
agree
that
with that?
I agree, and we'll do that through the permitting process, because now we have a permitting process to go through,
Right.
and we'll make sure all the all the i's are dotted, t's crossed in the
I
permitting
feel a lot
process.
better about it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and so through that process, we'll make sure everything is done properly.
All right, we're gonna need to move on now. FY 15 first half sewer usage omitted commitment. Peter,
Yes.
please.
This is just a pro forma. First half omitted commitment. I move that the board authorize the first half omitted commitment for the fiscal year 15 sewer users fee in the amount of $2,930.40.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, second by Ms. Whiteside. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. It's unanimous, 400. Okay, abatement request, please.
The first one I have in front of me, I don't know, your order is map 52 lot D-6. It's a betterment abatement,
Okay.
28 Marks Cove Road. And you can read the abatement for yourself. Basically what I'm saying is that the town of Wareham did a proper procedure to better the properties out there. I don't feel he's been grieved in any way. And also, according to the assessor's office, an applicant for a betterment has, he has 6 months to file a betterment. And none of that's been met, so I'm recommending that we deny the betterment abatement request.
Let's go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, so,
I'll make a motion to deny.
Second.
okay, motion made by Mr. Holmes, seconded by Ms. Whiteside. Is there any discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstaining, it's 400.
Second one is West Central Avenue. We have a letter from the Onset Water Department. They had capped 3 washing machines at that property. So those washing machines no longer are able to operate, nor are they getting water. We charge 1.5 EDUs per washing machine, so we're going to reduce his bill by that much, abate him for 3 months. This was done by the letter in April 17, 2014, so we'll abate him May, June, July in the amount of $477, and going forward, we'll reduce the EDUs by 3.
I move that we approve the abatement for map 1, lot 538, 1 West Central Avenue in the amount of $447.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Whiteside, seconded by Mr. Titlebaum. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Holmes.
We passed a policy, not that long ago. It was on putting up the locks. You remember the locks on the water, so the water couldn't be used? We
Correct.
wouldn't be charging, right? And then they would pay you to come and take the locks off, and whatever it was, $50. I don't have the number in my head.
It
Remember
was-
this?
I think it was 50
Does
or
that,
100. We still have that policy, but in this particular case, they have the water department come in and actually cap it, weld it, solder it, it's capped. It's no longer being used. So instead of us going to lock nothing that's there. Our goal, as you remember, was to go in there, put a valve in there so we could
Right.
close the valve, lock it so they couldn't utilize the water, and then we'd do the process. In this case, they had the water department come in, cut the lines, cap them. So we have nothing to lock.
Yeah, I'm
So-
trying to think of the gentleman's name. He was from the Lobster.
Yes,
John,
it was
Joe.
Joe and Guy.
They had some apartments there,
Yes.
and they took care of that for them.
Correct.
Now, because my point is, if this was done, I mean, we shouldn't have to rebate things, right?
Mhm.
If it's capped, let's not bill the guy in the first place, right?
That's
Then
right.
he doesn't have to come and go
Absolutely.
through all this and cost us all this money to sit here.
Absolutely,
Right?
absolutely. And we had no
So
knowledge
next
of this.
year, this
Yes,
will be all taken care
all
of.
taken care of.
Now,
And
is it covered under that same policy?
It would be, and to your point, if it was requested back then, we went out and did it, because I guess we had
Yeah,
conversations.
see, we would have had a log on it.
Yes, we had conversations, and they talked about it, and there was another renter, and things happened.
Right.
So when they got back to property, decided to move forward on their own and cap it, I have no problem with it. And so because we weren't made aware of it, we billed them.
Right.
And once we became made aware of it and got the documentation from the water department, then I'll abate them the months that they paid for what they shouldn't have. If we had this document before I built this, we wouldn't be here.
Right. So, Mr. Chairman, my point is that we the previous board put this policy in place so that we wouldn't have to go through this. So maybe if there's some way to get it out, or Mr. Sullivan can put something out to these guys to say, we have a policy in place that if you're going to shut down, refer to policy, and then you don't have to go through this. They won't charge you. They register the shut off. It's locked so they can't use the water. And then they pay, was it $25 each
No,
way?
it's $50 both ways.
Oh, $50.
Yes.
So, they pay people $50. They lock the water. They take the lock off. It's locked, so there's no billing. Look at all the money we spent in doing abatement. That costs money.
When you come right
So-
down to it, it comes to, it's.
But we have a policy, was my point. We just need to have people start to follow it.
But
And it's on the bill.
How do you get it, how do you get everybody to know about the policy? That's the problem.
It's on the
Well,
bill, and you're right.
you
Most
advertise
people
it.
don't read the
Yeah.
print on the back of the bill. And also, to answer that, again, Mr. White and I, because of the season, he's been very busy, we're opening up again our Grits and Rag publication with the television. And these are some of the things that we'll put out there to
Right.
educate people on all the different things that are there, so they have more knowledge, and so a lot of this stuff goes away. So
Right.
it's part of our educational outreach, and so we'll
Yeah.
start that program again, Grits and
Very
Rags
good.
over the element, to bring the knowledge to the
All right.
public.
That was my point, just to let you
Absolutely.
know that
That's a good
Okay.
point.
this is
right.
unnecessary.
Okay, next. Peter? I mean, Guy?
Let's see, we just did, so let me get back.
That was it. There's another one, yep.
Can I just get some clarification on that? Excuse me,
No, you can't. Sorry. No, you can't. Sorry. Go ahead.
The next one is map 1, lot 512, Patricia Pettiford. This is we denied the abatement, if you will, simply because of timing. The water had to be off for a year, and she made that. So going forward, we're going to put the account on hold. But because the timing of the water going off and the year has to pass, there's no abatement. So we denied the abatement, but we're requesting that we put your permission to put the account on hold going forward, so she won't get billed in the future.
Are you saying this abatement request is premature?
Yeah, well, but I can't tell her not to. We had this discussion, and so I gave her the right to, so she moved forward, and I'm going to follow through with it. And she was aware that we weren't going to give her back anything or abate her any money, but we will put the account on hold going forward. And we need to come here to do that, so that's the exercise here. Going forward, we'll put this account on
You need a
hold.
motion to put it on
Motion to
hold?
put it on hold,
Yes,
yeah.
we do.
Map
Motion-
one,
Go ahead, Judy.
go ahead,
I was just going to make a motion to put the account on hold.
All right, go ahead.
and deny the abatement.
Right, because there is no.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Holmes, seconded by Ms. Whiteside. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstaining, it's 4-0-0. Okay, is that it for abatements, Peter? No?
Is
All
that-
right,
I
next
believe
is
so.
any
Did you-
others- is-
We did record a vote to abate the laundromat property?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
4-0-0, yep.
I put it on here. I just wanted to make sure I
Yeah.
heard it
Yes.
correctly.
I said it.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, any other sewer business?
No,
That's it?
everything is good. I appreciate that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Guy.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
so much.
It was a relatively easy meeting for you.
One question.
What?
Hold on.
It shouldn't take them more than 20 minutes to answer this one.
20
Oh,
minutes, you
God.
say?
If you have a building, And it was one house, then subdivided, and they had two houses. And they have two stubs. And they have one for each. It's the same house, but they have two stubs going into it, right? Then it was like a mother lived there, she dies. God rest her soul. But now, they want to knock that wall down and make their house a little bit bigger. It's all the same house. They put a wall up for the mother-in-law, right? It's like an in-law apartment, if you will. What do they have to do to get that done?
That goes through planning. Once
Right, so
planning,
they get the wall knocked down.
And they do
what
all
about
that.
you? How do we deal with that now?
they
on
bring
our
it.
end?
They bring it to us, to bring to the sewer commissioners.
Yeah.
Bring in the documentation that property has been changed from 3 to 1 or whatever,
Right.
and it's presently a single-family home. And they do that to the planning board, and I think it's a appeals board or whatever it is.
Okay.
At that point, once we get that documentation, then we'll bring it in front of this board to say, okay, now it is no longer this, so we want to change the EDUs to whatever it really is.
Do they have to do anything? Would you have to do anything to the actual pipe in the ground?
No, I'm surprised they got 2 laterals. I would recommend to stop the plug one because they must have split the plumbing, so there's
Yeah,
going to be a lot they do. So
I have no idea. It's been there for years.
I would, that wouldn't change. It's a single-family home. EDU is a single-family home. If they somehow got more than 1 lateral, that's life. But they'll
Right.
pay a single family. At the time, if it was 2-family, they're paying for 2 dwellings. And they can change that by the zoning appeal boards. It's definitely
Thank
out
you
of our
very
hands.
Okay, next, thank you, Guy. Next, town business recommendations by the harbor master. Could the harbor master come down, please? How you doing?
Good evening. How are you?
Welcome.
I promise
What do you got?
I'll be very quick.
What do you got for us?
Is this on? I'm coming in to request of the board to reopen oystering. We've done the 2 years worth of closures. We're allowed up to 3, but I think we can crawl into starting to get the fishery going again. We are going to request that limited harvest be the recommended choice of the board. We're going to ask that the commercial guys have 2 days of harvesting. They're allowed 1 bushel per day. One of them is within the management area that we proposed around Onset Island. We've had a management area in that area in the past. We're reinstating the same exact lines, the same locations for the same reason as it was previously. This goes back to probably 1996, 7, 8, 9, going up to about 2004 with Mr. Ellis and Mr. Parola. So I'd like to I would like to ask the board to reinstate the management area strictly for oyster fishing, and then from that point, the regulations would be for both recreational and commercial.
Okay. Any questions of the board?
Mr. Holmes, it was in last week's agenda.
You want me to run down and get you a copy? You want me to take mine?
No, it's all right.
Okay.
I think I read a bunch of that stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
I remember
There was
when we
there was so much floating in the last 10 days. I just having trouble. You had so much going through our heads.
Okay. Mr. Titlebaum, could you give me a motion, please?
I move that we vote to adopt the proposed recreational family regulations for reopening the oyster harvesting and also the proposed commercial regulations for reopening oyster harvesting as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, second by Ms. Whiteside. Any discussion? Go ahead, Mr.
Real quick, I'll vote for this, but you have to own up to a promise that you were going to show me how to get an oyster out of the water.
Okay.
Done.
You'll be the first
With
one
a
on the
rake.
boat.
For free. No money changes hands.
We'll be
right?
coming out. I've got plenty of cold weather gear for you.
All
Well,
right.
I don't like it too cold.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous, 400.
It was
the
a
fee of
joke,
one-
by
for
the
the
way.
fee of one
There's
oyster.
no-
Okay, next up, we have recommendation by Harbor Master to create a new shellfish management location and a vote on the management regulations for that.
Management areas, the commercial fishermen will be allowed 1 day of their choice. They have 2 days to fish from this location. It's going to be up to them because they're obviously out there all day long. I'd like them to be able to have that choice on weather conditions and for their safety. So we keep track of it through observation when we see the guys out there. Recreationally, if you're going out for your weekly harvest and you're going for oysters that week, and you decide to use the management area, it's Saturdays only. If they decide to use another day, they're allowed to harvest oysters on a Friday, and it can be anywhere that's open to shellfishing with the exception of that management area. So, and they're allowed one level peck or no more than 100 pieces in that peck for a recreational harvest.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Titlebaum.
Set. I move that we approve the Shellfish Manager Area Number 5 around Onset Island as presented by the Harbor Master.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, seconded by Ms. Whiteside. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous, 400.
Thank you.
There is one more item on here. Recommended experiment extension on the commercial oyster license application period.
This is only for the gentlemen that have currently hold shellfish licenses within town. When people start getting the more advanced licenses, we usually start everybody off quahog, and then they're allowed to purchase the master digger license, or they're allowed to purchase oyster. Right now, we currently have 10 that have the quahog license, so only 10 would be allowed to purchase the oyster license. There's a time frame between the 1st and the 31st where they're allowed to apply, and then what we do is we can go into we take that time frame just to go through, make sure they don't owe back taxes, things like that, which don't allow us to issue them the permit. So the time frame, it's only for our administrative stuff. We always start oystering December 1st.
All I want is an oyster. Now I gotta go get it.
No, that's commercial. That's commercial. That's commercial. No, your recreational shellfish permit, you're good.
All right, Mr. Titlebaum, please.
Okay,
You have to eat it on the bar too.
I move that we approve the Harbor Master's request to extend the commercial oyster license application period.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, seconded by Ms. Whiteside. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Is
That's
that
all
it?
I have.
All right,
There is
thank
one
you.
more item on here for the application for CPC funds, but Selectman Slavin has indicated that he wishes to be present for this and to
Okay.
come back to it next week.
That's the thing.
All right.
When that comes up, I need some more clarification
Yep.
ahead of time. I mean, there's documents here. I read this one, this.
That's why we held off on everything for it.
Everybody's head is spinning on this one, not just yours.
Okay. All right,
I'm not
next.
the only one who didn't get it, right?
Just on clarification for the, is effective immediately for the management area?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Everything.
These are all effective
Gotcha.
immediately.
Votes,
Thank you very much.
You're ready to
Okay,
go.
Thank you.
I have
All
a
right,
question
discussion.
for you, sir. One question.
Yes.
Is that your boat on the back wall?
That is.
Take it. Bye-bye.
You don't like it?
No, I have other plans.
Okay.
Thank you.
It
Thank you
isn't
very
that
much.
She isn't saying she doesn't like it. Actually, I might.
Wow.
Thrown out of the room.
All
And
right.
take your boat with you.
That's right.
And
All
I,
right.
That was his pride and joy. He got a big grant for that.
you can
Okay.
take it downstairs.
All
Throw it
right,
outta
thank
here.
you.
Put it across the street in the school department.
Okay, we gotta move on. Next, discussion for volunteer dinner. I understand Mr.
Sullivan,
That's me.
Mr. Sullivan.
speak.
You're on.
Well, the first one that I'm going to discuss is we've started putting together for the seniors, a senior luncheon, and it's going to be December 23rd. Obviously, this will be a goal that no seniors will pay $1 for this. We're going to put it together. We're in the infancy stage, but we want to get it out there now because we want as many seniors attending as possible. And for anybody that can step up, help out, serve, we'd really recommend and enjoy having you as part of it. As it comes on, we're going to have more information. This is the first step, but again, I want everybody to hold the date, December 23rd during the day, and to make sure you're free to help out. So thank you.
Okay, and now the volunteer dinner date? Do we have that? What is it?
The
Thank
week
you.
before.
That's an us thing.
Yeah, I thought
Everybody's
you were
looking
the
at each other.
volunteer.
That's an us thing.
Yeah, it was the week before.
Right. The
I don't have a calendar, but
the
it was the
16th, right?
16th.
Tuesday the 16th.
Tuesday, the 16th, for volunteer dinner.
Okay, so 16th, and can you tell me what time that is?
So we're doing it on a Tuesday, so we're not meeting?
And what time is it?
No, it's in the middle of the day.
It's the middle of the day.
The volunteer dinner? We do that at night. You don't do that in the middle of the day.
Yeah, why is it dinner? Yeah, it's gotta be at night.
Yeah, we don't do
Isn't
it
that
during
an
the day.
English thing? Dinners during lunch?
Yeah, you get the committees and everybody else and all that. Yeah, that's a nighttime thing.
Yeah, what's the plan?
So why don't you try December 17th? That's a Wednesday.
We can do it on a Tuesday night.
Just not meet.
Well, do it Monday night then.
Whatever. Monday the 15th? Okay,
Okay, the 15th.
that works.
In the evening. All right, so what
But
time
the
are we talking?
senior dinner is noon.
What time are we
Yeah,
talking?
that's a
see,
luncheon.
I called it a luncheon.
Are
Because
we-
the seniors aren't
Senior
working,
lunch.
so
The seniors
God
are
bless them.
luncheon.
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say
Well-
that.
Would you say?
They're not going to work.
Excuse me, would you say 7 o'clock?
No.
6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 6:30?
Jude-
All right. All right,
Six? Six?
Judy's typically asleep by 8, so.
all right, 6 o'clock. This is December the 15th. December the 15th at 6 o'clock. Beautiful. All right.
And the location for both is the,
Gym in this building,
thank you,
Okay.
15th.
15th.
15th, Monday the 15th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Any other town business not reasonably anticipated in the last 48 hours? Mr. Titlebaum.
None.
Ms. Whiteside.
Nada.
Mr. Holmes. Mr. Sullivan.
No.
No. Okay, that's moving on. Town administrators report, please.
Thank you. We missed a week, but so there's a little bit of old news, but we did hold the police chief's assessment center with the 5 candidates, and I look forward to hearing from the consultants what the results are and how the scoring comes through. Usually you'll receive that approximately 4 weeks from that date, and we'll take a look at the results. So I'll keep the board advised and then forward any recommendations. The next item is we all received via an email, was forwarded to the board, but excuse me, the current administration from the state revealed that there is a $325 million budget deficit. So they are planning mid-year cuts, which could affect our local aid, school aid, and town aid. So that's something we are keeping our eyes on, as well as I'd like to write some letters to a representative and senator and let them know that communities such as ourselves, which rely so heavily on state aid, can't afford mid-year cuts.
No kidding, really.
And the,
Any-
all right.
Wow.
So in 2013, they cut special education, the circuit breaker, the McKinney-Vento, the homeless student, the Chapter 70 pothole account, veterans benefits, charter school reimbursements, and other important accounts. So I think last time it cost us almost $100,000 in a mid-year. So. Moving on, the auditors are currently in Town Hall working on the FY14 budget, and we expect them to wrap up being on site. They might wrap up a little early and finish up this week and not need to be on site next week. So that's some good progress. Tomorrow also
Can I just say congratulations to you and your staff for having this done, or being done now. This is fabulous. This is real progress in terms of financial management, and I think everyone in the town should know that.
Thank you. Also, tomorrow we will have our local representative from the Department of Revenue on site working with us on the recap, which is an important part of the tax rate setting process. Today I had a brief meeting with some members of the COA board. As you know, that was essentially empty, and they're revitalizing it. And they're an engaged group. They grilled me pretty good in my office there, so, which was great. So I would say hop on board, because they're gonna run over you if you're not there to help. So I think it's really great. And that was the last thing would have been the senior luncheon, but we brought that up, and I look forward to seeing everybody there. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is liaison reports. Mr. Titlebaum.
I don't think I did any liaising last week.
Okay, Ms. Whiteside.
Oh, I liaised a whole lot. First of all, we had a library murder mystery, and the dead body is revived. he's sitting here, but I want to say thank you to all of the people who went to the library, who paid, 25 bucks for the ticket. I don't need to see Mr. Teitelbaum's knees ever again. And the play raised a little bit, approximately $2,500 for the library, for the foundation, for purchase of books. The seniors was something I was going to comment on, but I don't need to now. Open space. I toured Sunday morning with the Open Space Committee. Weeantic Playground, Everett Playground, Minot Playground, Sylvester Gardens Playground, and the Oakdale Playground. The Weeantic and Oakdale were the only ones really on the schedule, and at Oakdale there were approximately 20 people who showed up, about 6 kids and 15 adults. They've done a wonderful job in terms of getting their playground, that area playground, cleaned up, raked up, mowed, and there was a lot of community input for the Open Space Committee and the preliminary plans for the renovation of that playground. I just want to say that clearly Oakdale has taken the challenge of reclaiming their neighborhood, getting out there 2 weekends and being willing to, shovel, rake, paint, whatever. And I hope that that will continue throughout all the other playgrounds in town.
That's it?
It was cold.
You all set?
Yeah.
Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, speaking of liaising, actually, I'm going to send Alan this to put on next week's agenda, but just to give you kind of a heads up of where I'm going with this. The old adage, we can bitch all you want. If you don't vote, you don't have any rights. We had an election here a couple of weeks back. Massachusetts, we have a new governor. Congratulations, Charlie. He's a friend of mine. I know him. I used to work with him. And many of the other legislators, Susan Williams Gifford was reelected. Senator Pacheco was reelected. Our friend there in Buzzards Bay was reelected. And one thing I want to say is, we all complain, all 5 of us, and to Mr. Sullivan, he's included, number 6, that a lot of things happen at the state and federal level that we're always bitching about. Unfunded mandates this, they charge us for that, they do this for that. And you know what? We have no liaisons with either one of those bodies. So one of my suggestions to Alan is going to be that, one of us tie in as a state liaison, and one of us tie in as the federal liaison with Mr. Bill Keating. There we go. Yeah, I was going to say Heating, but it's Keating. And, whether it's not about party, but, we've had maybe some connections over the last few years with Governor Patrick. Well, he's not there anymore. And the lady didn't get it. So now we got nobody, right? So what I'm saying is, politics aside, we should have a representative who takes issues, keeps Wareham in their ear, right? I know Walter Manise had talked about that a lot in his governance council's race, and he lost. So, okay. So, maybe we pick up on that, because I think it's important for us to do that. There are a lot of opportunities we have that if they know we're looking, Mark Pacheco does a good job at that. He's a Democrat, I'm a Republican, right? But I give him a lot of credit. He has some of us have attended some of his business meetings. I know, Peter, you went with Alan and I one day, remember?
Yep.
And he has
Continue to do so.
he has a lot of meetings where you can meet business development people. So I think going forward, not that anybody needs any more work, I'm actually politicking a little bit for the state because I do have some friends there I think that can help us. But I think that next week I'll get Alan to put that up on the agenda and we can talk about that.
We're going to have field trips to DC?
You never know. We could go on the Happy Bus.
No. I want a field trip to DC.
A Happy Bus. So, that's where I'm going with this, because I think there are a lot of opportunities that we may not hear because Peter likes to use the political terms, And if we had a liaison person, we might hear the birds singing a little bit more for Wareham.
Well, I can tell you,
And,
Alan.
and you know where it was no more pronounced when Mark Andrews was the town administrator. Heavy Democrat guy. In with Mark Pacheco and those guys, right? Big Democratic guy. He used to take us to some of those meetings too. And finally it came to light, not to light, but it finally surfaced that Scott Brown, right, who was our new senator, was never invited to one event in the town of Wareham until we finally recognized it and said, "What are you doing?" Well, he wasn't on the list. You know, he was an outsider to that list. And he never got invited to anything in Wareham until, I think, the last 6 months of his term. So I'm trying to repair that, and maybe, just maybe, if we can get one or two things out of him, it's worth taking a few minutes to build a connection, right? So,
Okay.
that's it. Thank you.
Just quickly in response to that, I can tell you that Alan in particular has really done a lot of outreach with the state, with our state rep, with our state senator. I've tagged along with some of the things, but I haven't done half the work he has. We did actually meet then candidate Baker at the Plymouth County Development Council about a month ago, and he said he was going to go around to the various tables after he gave his speech, which was a campaign speech,
Right.
and a pretty good one, actually. And I made sure to buttonhole him before he got past our table and put a bug in his ear about the commuter rail, upon which he told me he had just come from a meeting in the Cape with ex-Representative Kahir, who runs the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority, and just basically said, you know, I know what's going on here. So these are the kinds of things that you have to do. You're absolutely correct about that. Do we need to formalize it? I don't know, but it doesn't hurt to remind ourselves that we need to do these things.
And you know, he's very friendly with Representative Gifford.
Yep.
She's done a lot of work with him, and I think that you're going to find that, especially where we are on that line, that he's going to pay attention to Wareham quite a bit,
Yep.
Carver and this area. So I just think it's a good thing to at least have somebody bird dogging it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, there's no consent agenda tonight, so thank you, everyone, for coming. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mo-
Aye.